In Neville's 1969 lecture, God's Plan of Redemption, Neville says, how many people today can pinpoint their success or failure to their imagination? The average man will say John Brown did it, or the storm, or the president. Only a few will confess that their success or failure was created in their imagination. But I tell you, Christ in you creates your life, for you are all imagination, and your imagination can be used for good or for evil. When you think of God as a man of imagination, you are recognizing the power behind the mask God wears. Rather than giving credit to the mask, praise the wearer, who is Christ. It is Christ who erupts from within us. It is Christ who comes out of the skull of the mask he wears. Christ is the one who bears the name I am. So when you look at your life, what do you think is the cause of it? Do you dare say, you are the cause? All the things you see in the world, even the atrocities, is it possible it came from your imagination? Until we become more aware of what we are thinking, what we dwell in, where we dwell at, we won't know yet who is the master of our fate, our imagination. You are, I am. Neville says, do you know that imagination made the entire world? Do you know that a change in imagination will change the entire world? Do you realize that if you would begin to imagine something entirely different concerning your life, instead of accepting that the so-called wise people say it must be, your world would rearrange itself to reflect the change? You, all imagination, are in the world which you made, yet the world does not know that imagination made it. So when you look at your world, you look at your life. Do you know that this is what you've been imagining? Can you trace the harvest? Regardless, what do you want in your world and your life? What do you want to imagine instead? Are you doing it? You can start now. What would it be like to live the life you want, in the world you would like to live in? What is that world like? Let it flow and give birth in your imagination. Persist until it is conceived, and in its own perfect timing becomes your reality. Neville tells the story of two ladies who came to his meetings, one in California and another in New York. And both ladies had great financial problems. They had no money and no one to turn to. And Neville simply asked each of them, assume the feeling of financial security. And one lady did it immediately. Every day she would imagine having all the money she needed to take care of all her desires. And one day an old friend of hers, one she had known over 30 years ago, came into her life again, and seeing that she was penniless, and he set her up with a trust fund, providing her with enough money to live graciously. And Neville says the other woman, after hearing this story, she began to assume she had plenty as well, and in 1 week, money started coming in when it hadn't before. And all they simply did, Neville says, was to use their imagination. And right now you can do the same. Search for the feeling of security, and feel this feeling, and do so each day, making this unfamiliar feeling home. Just like one of these one ladies, it may take a week, or it may take longer, but it doesn't matter, because when your abundance is pouring in all around you, it's worth it. And then with that, you will start to see the connection. You will grow in confidence, and you will revolutionize your life. Neville says, pray to some statue or picture on the wall, and you are praying to that which is dead. Nothing on the outside is alive, for life is within. The Word became flesh and dwells in you. And if you want to find out yourself, test what Neville is saying and see for yourself. What if, just like when you go to bed at night, the night dream you have that comes alive, and yet when you awake, that night dream is gone, it's dead? What if what you call reality, what mystics call the wake dream, is similar, if not the same, just longer, therefore seems more real? And finally, Neville tells a story. When I was told I could not get out of the island of Barbados, I said to myself, all things are possible to Christ who became me and dwells in me. So right now I believe I have the passage. Feeling the ticket in my hand, I walked up the gangplank and onto my ship. Within a few hours the company called, and I sailed just as I had imagined I would. If Jesus Christ makes all things, then he made the passage available to me. I tested him, and now I know exactly who he is. He has my own wonderful human imagination. This is when Neville didn't have the means to go, when all doors seemed closed to him. But nothing is close to the imagination, and he dared to imagine, and it became his reality. Can you do the same? It could happen overnight, but even if it didn't, can you continue to persist, even when it may feel that nothing is happening? It reminds me of the story of a ballerina who had exceptional flexibility. People thought it was luck why she had such great flexibility. And she said, no, I simply kept doing the exercises even when a long time passed and there was no progress. And then one day it just seemed great flexibility became hers. If something doesn't come right away, can you do the same? If you really want success, you will, and you can, and you will do so. Now, as we go into the silence, what is something that you want to get out of, or something you want to experience? For Neville, he held a ticket in his hand. He walked up the gangplank onto the ship. What is it that you want? And if you had it, what would you be doing? Bring that to life in your imagination. Have fun. Dare to do it. Have fun. Now, let us go into the silence. Goody goody good.